Welcome to the 5 on 5. We are pleased to be joined today by Deanne Everson, Executive Director of United Way, and Stacey Brubaker. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
We're here to talk about Shatter the Silence campaign. We're talking about suicide. It's a difficult topic. We know it exists. There's a lot of people affected by it, and yet hard to talk about. What are you guys doing?
We're actually talking about suicide prevention and awareness. And we're talking about it because a couple of years ago, a Big Idea student, United Way's initiative for 100% high school completion, said to me, I don't care how many of us graduate, how about you keep us all alive? And I went to the experts in our community, and Stacey Brubaker's head of Jackson County Mental Health, and they know what they're doing, and they're the best at it in our community, and they do great programs, and they provide lots of free training. And we've partnered, and it's taken us 2 years to get here, but today we launched Shatter the Silence, an effort to get people to talk to each other about how you're really doing, not ask sort of a tender question and pass on with how you're doing fine, but actually really talk to people about how they are.
And so how do we put that into motion? How does this all come together?
Well, I think for years there's been a huge amount of stigma around even talking to somebody around suicide. And so we kind of skirt the edges and don't actually come out and ask someone if they're thinking about harming themselves or if they have a plan. And I also think there was a belief that if you asked, not only would you cause that person to go ahead and do it, it would also potentially create copycats or contagion factors. So there's a whole science around suicide prevention, and we've really made some gains over the last 20 years. And it really is important that we do talk about it. And so I think that that's really what this campaign is really giving permission to people and really encouraging them to not just ask the question and then move on, but to really make a difference and ask somebody. You never know if you're going to be the one person that makes a difference in somebody not taking their life.
Right. How can you be proactive in situations like this?
Suicide's the #1 preventable cause of death. And when you actually say it that way, it's pretty staggering. But you can actually create change by just asking someone, are they thinking of taking their life? And then ensuring that they have the resources necessary to begin to create change in their lives and the lives of people around them. You could give them the suicide prevention hotline. In today's Mail Tribune and Daily Courier, there's a really cool publication on suicide prevention. We have great resources on our website. The county has great resources on their website. There's a lot of help out there, but really we have a community responsibility, and we are our brothers and sisters keepers, and we really have to engage. We have a really high suicide rate in our community, and so it's going to take all of us to step up.
We've got a lot more to talk about, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are pleased to be joined once again by Deanne Everson, Executive Director of United Way, and Stacey Brubaker of Jackson County Mental Health. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
We are talking about a new suicide prevention campaign called Shatter the Silence, launched today. What age group are we targeting with this?
So we really tried to hit across the full spectrum of ages. So there is one for teens, one for young adults, one for families, and then the final one is really for the older population. The older population is one that's of great concern, I think, in our community, just because we do have a high number of people who are over 65 years of age, and there's a really high number of those folks taking their lives. So it's really important to watch for loneliness and people who maybe have had some severe changes in their lives, loss of a spouse, loss of a house, a home, really taking the time to know your neighbor, and like Deanne said earlier, we are all our brother's keepers, so to really try to pay attention to what's going on around you and who your neighbors are and asking those kind of questions.
When you're talking about people going through some of those really tough circumstances, with this campaign, are you guys going to have the ability to intervene, so to speak, when you know that somebody's going through some of that?
So there's, locally, Jackson County Mental Health runs the 24/7 crisis line, and that number is available 24/7, so that's 541-774-8201. There's also a national suicide prevention line that you can put the number up at the end of, and there's actually, when you go to that line, there's also a texting line that really we're finding suicide texting for the younger population makes a big deal. of difference, because that's really how they communicate these days. So
excellent. And we want to make sure that number's out there, 1-800-273-TALK or 8255. I know that's one of the biggest things when we are covering this as a media outlet, is to let people know that there are resources available. And like you said, we are kind of unique in our county to have somebody there who is able to be a coordinator 24/7.
she's not 24/7. Our crisis team, which are licensed clinicians, for the most part, are the 24/7. Kristen Fettig is actually our suicide prevention coordinator for this county. We're really lucky to have such a position. Many counties don't have that. Okay. And she really spends all of her time really working in the schools and with community partners, doing some of the trainings we offer around suicide prevention efforts. And then she also really is part of the response team when we find out that somebody has died by suicide. She's really the one reaching out to families or friends and really trying to wrap some supports around and get people the support that they need.
Excellent. Lastly, if people want more information about this campaign, where should they go?
They can go to unitedwayofjacksoncounty.org/shatter the silence.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here and talking about this important issue.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.